Welcome to the Grind Gaming Podcast. Today I am rejoined by Hunter.
Hello.
And we have Brendan with us today as well.
Hey there.
Oh
So,
What do you want me to say?
You're so close to your mic and it's so loud.
It's it's loud on Audacity too. It's good.
alright,
You
it
want
makes
to
it easier to
amplify
edit.
it. Yeah.
so our audience already kind of knows Hunter because Hunter was here on the last episode. Brendan, this is your first podcast episode.
Yes,
How
it
do-
is.
how do you
How do I
feel?
feel about that?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I like talking, so this should be pretty easy.
Is it the first podcast episode he's been on?
Well, yeah. It's the first one that's gonna actually get edited. Hunter lost the audio for the last one, so
I don't like lies being told about me, and so right now I can say that I'm not mad because it's true.
it's all right.
I did delete my audio.
It's all right. It's a learning process. We're getting there because we're all scattered across the fucking country, but it's fine.
This is
We'll get
true.
there. So audience knows that Hunter and I are content creation. Brendan, you are on the business side. Would you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything. There's not really anything I don't do. So I guess I create logos and advertisements too. Just and
Bro, some of your freaking logos.
the
Come
nut.
get your nut.
Come get your nut.
The nut.
Come get
Yeah.
your nut.
I mostly create, I guess logos and ads, and then I'm been trying to learn some coding so I can help out with that, or at least know what I'm doing, and then just like general business stuff. Do a lot of that. I mean, I can't really say exactly what we do, but I do a lot of that.
Yeah.
Do a lot of the
There's a
stuff
lot
that we
of-
do that I can't talk about.
Yeah, that
Oh.
side's more under wraps.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys are pretty hush hush over there. Like
Yeah.
we have the privilege of knowing what you guys do, but we like can't say anything.
Can't talk about it to anyone.
Yeah. It's weird because I'm like, yeah, I'm working for this one company, and people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can show you this
I
one
always-
advertisement I made so you can know the company that I work for, but I can't tell you anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
I get
very.
that asked a lot.
well,
Like, I have
Yeah.
people who are, like, I'll just offhandedly say, like, oh, shit, I can't do that. I have to work tonight. And people are like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, haha.
Yeah, my parents are like, so you work for these people at 9 o'clock at night? And I'm like, yeah. It's kind of not normal. It's not like a desk job, like I'm not filling out
Yeah.
spreadsheets, even though sometimes I am filling out spreadsheets.
That's
But
how I feel. I just always say I'm just like, oh, well, I'm in a startup, but on like a content creation side. So
Yeah.
I
Damn,
do
that's-
like
that's
podcasts
a
and record
good
videos and
answer.
stuff.
I hate
Yeah.
Why didn't I
I
think
hate
of
saying
that?
I hate saying startup because I think startup has a really negative connotation to it. So I don't
Yeah.
like saying startup when I don't think we're a startup in the traditional sense, because generally you're like making well, I'm not gonna say anything, but I don't think we're a startup in the traditional sense, but maybe we are. I don't know. It depends what people qualify as a
I
startup.
just say it's a startup because it's we're pretty much starting up the company from the ground up,
Mhm.
almost.
yeah,
what
but,
it feels like to me.
okay. I think startup is like a different
Yeah.
sort of thing, but
I could see. I could definitely see that.
Usually whenever I think of startup, I always think of, like, small tech companies in a garage.
Yeah,
I don't-
absolutely. That's what I
No.
feel like. To
I
be
don't think
Like
honest.
it's-
Amazon.
yeah,
That's
I guess.
instantly what my brain goes to is startup. And so, like, a bunch of indie companies that are never going to actually make it past their 5th year of operation.
well, we're not in a garage.
guess I
right
don't
now.
ever
We're
think
actually
about
in
that,
2
so-
small bedrooms, but
There you go.
Hey, that's a step up. You got air
It
conditioning.
is.
that's all right. I do. have
That's
AC.
true.
It's pretty sweet. I got 2 windows and a closet and a bed. It's pretty dope. Better than a garage.
Damn, you have one
But you-
window more than I do. That's
You
not
sell
fair.
your room. You sell your room so well. It's the best room I've ever
It's a
heard
nice
of. To be
room.
honest,
It's
2
like-
windows.
It's like it's like the size of my dorm room that I lived in for 4 years, and then
It's not bad.
but
Oh,
it's
that's right. I
better.
forgot you were an RA.
Yeah, I was an RA for 4 years, and I lived I lived in the same room for 2 years, and then I lived in the same building on the same side for 4 years.
Damn.
So, yeah, so I
I
lived there
hated
for
the
the
dorms
first
with a
year and then worked
passion.
there for the next 3. I don't think the dorms are that bad. I think especially if you're paying to live there, it's really not that bad because you don't see most of what goes on. I mean, I think the worst part's having to share a bathroom, but the most, there's a lot of dorms that you don't have to do that. But I definitely think like it's not really as bad as people think. I think people just have this mentality of like, oh man, I want to get out of the dorms because dorms suck, and they don't really actually have any reason to think that. I think it's just like the hive mind. They're like, oh yes, must move off campus to off campus housing.
I feel like yours is different though because you had a room to yourself. I got really lucky. I randomed like my roommate, and he was great. I loved him. I thought it was awesome. He also like stayed at his girlfriend's place most nights, so I had like the room to myself for like 4 nights a week, which is fine. It was good, but like we didn't like hang out a lot. It was weird because it was like when I transferred over, so I was much older, and he was like an actual freshman. But like at the same time, he was just like super chill, didn't really care about like anything that like went on in the room, and I like chill, didn't really care about anything that went on in the room, so it was just like cool.
I mean,
we're like really nice.
If I paid to stay there, I probably would get my own room or go to one of the bigger dorms. But the thing is, it was still like I was sharing my room with a bunch of people because you have to share a bathroom. Like we had 50 guys on a floor, and there's 4 toilets and 4 showers. Like
that does suck.
You may be living in your own room, but like the reality is, it's more of a shared space than it is a personal space. I mean, it is nice to have your own personal space, have your own room, but at the same time, I don't think living in the dorms is that bad. Like having my bathroom cleaned every day, that's awesome. Like you have the rest of your life to clean your bathroom and cook your own food. So like, what's the problem with spending 4 years getting your food cooked for you and your bathroom's cleaned for you and like everything's clean for you?
Yeah, that is really nice. I did like going downstairs and just being able to just like buy whatever I wanted, like right there.
Yeah,
really cool with dining dollars.
Probably a little more expensive, and they actually found that the university that we go to was on the lower end for like the buying power. I can't even remember. It was like right as I left, they had this like weird Big Ten survey that came out, and they were like, how much buying power does your dining buck have? And apparently we had the least. Yep, we paid almost some of the most for our dining plan, which is why they're upping it next year, but whatever.
Sick. That's good.
I mean, you guys also lived in all men's dorms. I lived in an all female dorm.
Dorms.
Oh, what?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
They actually got rid of that completely. Like the only ones that were all men's, all chicks, they set it to like
floor based
floors.
Yeah.
Again.
In your building.
With like guys always on the first floor.
In the building I was in, it was all female. And I will tell you this, girls are disgusting.
Wait, were you in Hornap or were you in Chitwood?
Chitwood.
I was in Nap.
Oh, really?
Oh, God.
I was in Nap.
Hornap is...
That place is it reeks of depression.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's horrible.
But like, my roommate, oh my God. God bless her. She was amazing. I loved her. I just lottery got her. And she put up with my ass for an entire year because I can be a bit of a crackhead. But she just went with it. Her boyfriend was over from Austin, I think, like once a month or something. I don't know. He was chill too. I had a point to this. Oh yeah, no. Sharing a bathroom with an entire half of a floor of all girls is disgusting. Fucking hair everywhere.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
We had newer bathrooms and there was just hair everywhere all the time. No matter how many times they cleaned it, it'd just be like you'd come across like blue shampoo just stuck to the wall or to the ceiling.
Oh, because the hair
you'd have
dye.
hair
That's
just
right.
in clumps on walls. Yeah, you had hair dye just in the corners everywhere.
I knew some RAs that worked in the all-female dorms when there were that dorm is still all-female, but they worked in the other one as well, and they said it was horrible because it was just like all people always fighting and like always having to deal with petty situations. Because as an RA, well, we're actually called CAs. We were community advisors, and apparently that's a different role. So most RAs are pretty hands-off with their floor, but we are like in the trenches having to deal with all their problems. So. The female CAs like constantly having to mediate these stupid arguments, and they're like, it's almost not worth working the job.
Oh yeah, no.
But
I was even in one of the learning communities, and that was back when I was in
women
engineering.
in STEM. Yep, that's
and
the
so
one that's in there.
It was all women in STEM, and I was like, for supposedly geeky, nerdy girls who are good at math and science, you guys are some of the pettiest fucking bitches I've ever met.
So
Good
you want to hear a
Lord.
hot take of the 4 years in the dorms? What I think? I think
Oh,
that
please.
they should
I wanna
take
hear this.
every single female room and they should just build a wall down the middle of it. And they should just put 2 more doors in there. That's what I think. It would solve so many problems.
Jesus
Just
Christ.
a thin
Honestly.
plywood wall that just goes right down the middle. Oh
Yeah.
my god, you wouldn't even know how many problems it would solve. Or maybe if they don't want to do a wall, they could just implant like one of those rubber ones. The rubber things are like an inch thick, and just go down the center of the room and like all the way up the wall, across the ceiling, and like down the wall. It just, it would
I don't
solve
know. I feel
so
like-
many problems.
I feel like you could say that for both because I
No.
I don't know because I had like my roommates from last year were they were in the dorms at the same time I was, and we were also in the same like situation to where we were all transfer students, but we had to live in the dorms, and I met them like once I got here, but he was just like he had awful issues with his roommate. Like his roommate was just terrible. So like he had a lot of stuff to complain about too. So I think it goes both ways, and it just really just depends on who is in the room,
Well, so here's the thing. From my experience, at least the guys will like be overtly mad at the other guy, so the problem will be obvious. And generally, they'll come talk to us, or someone will tell us that like we should go do something about it. But like with the girls, it'll fester for months, and then it will like explode horribly in like a literal fight
Jesus.
or something like that.
Oh,
It's crazy. But that's why I think like guys, and plus the complaints are different, right? Like the girls had like a myriad of complaints. I mean, it really could just be anything, like all the way down from like they brought their boyfriend in here one time without me asking, and now I've been mad for 3 months, or like they're doing something crazy, like I don't even know, like they're like storing like drugs in my fridge or something like that, like that all sorts of things. But like with guys, it's generally like they either always have their girlfriend over. It's the lights or the noise from playing video games or whatever, because they have opposite sleep schedules. You get racist people. That happens all the time too. They don't like the roommate. And then that's really it. That's like all the complaints I've ever seen. Also, one time I had a resident that was a communist, like full blown communist, and we had to move his roommate out because of it, because he thought it was awful. He would call me comrade.
Discord's not registering my laughter, but I promise you.
Does he walk in and he's like, oh yeah, I see that you bought us our milk this week.
No, he would have like pictures of
Our
dictators, and he was like part of the communist club on campus, and like I remember I messaged him and I was like, he was a super nice guy, but he was just like a communist. I didn't understand it.
Just like, comrade,
he would
brother.
call me, I remember I didn't even realize, because I just,
thank you for buying our milk.
exactly. I just knew him,
the
and like I had talked to him tons of times before. He was really nice, and I had never even realized it was a thing. And then his roommate was like, bro, he's a communist. I can't live there anymore. And I'm like, wait, what? And I went and saw his room, and it really was. It was like communist stuff everywhere. And then from literally like from that point forward, he would be like, oh yeah, nice to see you, comrade. And I'm like, no. I'm not your comrade.
Yes! Yes! Oh my
That's
god.
really funny.
Now I just want to
Yeah.
refer to you as comrade. Just be like, comrade
That's pretty
Brendan.
good.
Comrade Brendan.
Comrade Brendan.
I gotta
Comrade
hope that he was just like
Brendan.
taking shit, and he's like, no, this is ours. We live in the same room. This is ours. You can have
Like,
anything of
yeah.
mine if you want it. And this guy's just
But-
like, no, fuck it, no, I
But
bought
like in
this. Like this
today's
is
day and
mine.
age, I wonder if he was putting on an act to get
No.
his roommate to move out, or if it was legit.
No, it was legitimate.
It was legit?
Yeah, no. So I went to his room. Let's put it this way: he sunk too much money and time to make it illegitimate. So when I went to his room to do room checks, there was
Oh,
like
no.
communist stuff everywhere. There's like pictures of communist leaders. Like when you see pictures of North Korea and it's like they have
Oh,
like
yeah, the
pictures
propaganda
of
posters.
they have like pictures of the leaders and stuff like that. That's what it was
Yeah.
like. Like he had leaders from like all sorts of different communist things on his wall. He had like whatever like there's like a communist star or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but he had like a huge like multiple huge flags of that like in his room. Like
What the fuck?
and then what really was
love it.
crazy to me is I didn't
love it
realize, but
so
on
much.
campus there was a communist club, like communist club or whatever. I don't really.
No.
Yeah, there is. So there's actually it's still there, and he attended
go
like
find it
multiple
now.
meetings. And I remember talking to him about it, being like, Yeah, that's like what I do. That's where I hang out. Like I hang out with my friends from this club, or like, and I'm like, what club? And he's like, oh, yeah, the Communist Party club, and I'm like, oh,
The People's Communist
Wow.
Party.
interesting. But no, the dude was full sent communist.
That's so
Oh,
insane.
God.
What
So
the fuck?
interesting. It was
That's-
he's such a
He
nice
just feels
guy.
so
though. He
out
was
of-
such a nice guy. I loved
Well, I
him.
mean,
And then he was
yeah.
like, I'm a communist. I'm like, I don't know if I can get behind this.
Oh
You
my
can still be
God.
friends with them, man.
I mean,
Come on, now.
I fucking love it. That's just...
He'd say hello, comrade. I'd be like, "What's up, my dude? Hey, what's up? What's up, brother? What's going
Yeah.
on here?"
You just like tip hats at each other. Go, comrade.
Yeah, I remember seeing that message for the first time, being like, oh, this is real.
My roommate's a communist. Get me
I
out of here.
I thought it was a joke. Yeah, so we moved that guy out. But
Damn.
but my point is, I guess the message is living in the dorms isn't that bad unless you have a communist roommate, and then maybe it is that bad.
Or unless you're in an all-girls dorm.
Or unless you're in an all-female dorm. Yeah, that's a rougherino time for sure. I don't know if I'd do that.
Like, I'm so grateful that, like, because I went from living in an all-girls dorm to having 3 female roommates off campus in an apartment. And don't get me wrong, I love them to death. We're great friends. But I've just realized that I just hate living with girls. I'm one of the most low-maintenance females, I think, in the world, honestly. I have low requirements. Brendan, try me. I see that face you're making. Try me. I am low maintenance as fuck. I don't know. I guess you can get the full scoop from James. Because I'm moving in with James, 2 of his previous roommates, and then Bree from
So
the
from the club.
I
club,
think
yeah.
I think
Sick.
the,
I love Bree.
I
She's
think-
one
yeah,
of my
she's
best
awesome.
friends now.
the funny thing that I find about when people move out is like girls will move out and they'll all live in their own apartment. They'll like decorate it and it'll be all nice. I can't even tell you how many guys' apartments I've been over to, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize we were allowed to put anything on the walls or have furniture or have anything."
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? How do you? It's so depressing. Or it's either that. There's 2 extremes. You either have that where they're just like, I've literally never bought a decoration in my life and I'm not going to start now.
That's
and
me.
it's like very boring.
Yeah.
Or they're like, yeah, bro, we're going to decorate it like frat house. And it's just like, like flags everywhere.
I've
like
threatened to
weird
do that
flags
so many
everywhere.
times
Yeah,
to James.
it's like, I don't
I feel
understand.
added. Stop.
Actually, I can see a flag on your background right now.
yeah,
but
I
I'm talking,
have
like,
my
okay.
21 Pilots flag.
So I
I
was
have,
chill.
I have one right here.
I
It's-
was-
It's the Russian flag from when the Romanov family was in power.
Oh my god.
I was on Reddit.
comrade.
There's the
Comrade.
I was on Reddit for our
Comrade!
college, and someone was like, "Hey, rent's $4.25 a month. Let me give you a virtual tour of our house." And the first thing you see when they open the door is this huge flag of Shrek, and I'm just like,
That's sick.
I don't know who would move into this place.
Holy shit! No,
Okay.
I'd move in that place instantly. Like I'd
Best
be like,
thing ever.
stop
I
the
would
tour.
too.
So it
Where's my
was
deposit?
It was a flag of Shrek, and then he like turns, and there's like 3 more flags, and I was like, I don't know what it is about like frat lords or like just guys maybe in general, like college guys that think flags are valid wall decorations. Okay, look, like one flag's okay. The second you get more than 1 flag, it just looks like a frat house all of a sudden.
Well,
if it's just flags everywhere, then it's like a frat house. But like if you have like a wall tapestry, and then like an art print on a wall and a flag, that's fine. You have variety. But it's like just straight flags, just in sequence
What
on a
is
wall
it about
is like
flags
that's a
that just
frat.
attracts people to it, thinking that it's like wallpaper?
I just needed something to put on my wall, so I didn't have, because I don't have any decorations. Like when I came here, I was like, I'm not gonna decorate my room. I'm just gonna be like in and out, and then that
Why?
didn't
How
happen.
do you guys?
So
how do you live like
I
that? Like, do you
just-
not feel like you had to make the place you live your own? Do you not feel like that? Like my room was always super decorated. Y'all never saw it, but it was.
yeah, I mean, like I don't know. I just don't want to put the effort into it. I just want to sit here and play video games. You know. Be
feel that.
entertaining, but
That's right.
like
You
no,
need
I don't
a
know.
real- a real gamer den. You don't need to decorate a gamer den.
Our living room, yeah, I would, but like our living room, right now has all the stock furniture that came with the apartment, that will stay with the apartment, my TV that I brought, and a Michelob Ultra sign. No, I think maybe it's No, not Michelob Ultra sign. Maybe it's a
wait, one of the neon signs.
It's a Miller Lite. It's a Miller Lite sign, but it's like one that stands up. And like,
oh my god, are you kidding me? You have a
amazing.
pop-up Miller Lite thing in your freaking living room.
Yeah, so like it's like a Miller Lite sign that stands up, and like I'm thinking, I just look at it, like we don't ever turn it on, we don't do anything. It sits in the fucking corner, and like the way we got it, I don't know if I can say this. Can I say this? We got it.
Yeah, I
We'll find out. I'll bleep
go
it out
ahead.
later. If not.
Okay, so the way we got it is my roommate and his current girlfriend at the time were at a Buffalo Wild Wings, and they were like, "Man, that's a cool sign."
Course.
And then he grabbed the light sign and she grabbed the stand, and they just ran off the patio with it, and just like took that shit after they paid.
That sounds like
yeah,
that's the most
there it is.
college thing I've ever heard.
And so now we have a Miller light up sign in our living room.
Buffalo
It's
Wild
sick.
Wings
I'm
wants
a
to know
big
your
fan.
location.
I don't
know, yeah.
have anything strange in my current apartment where I'm living with my 3 female roommates. We don't have anything weird because I don't think any of them could take a joke like that. Like,
I don't know. I thought it was sick. I was like, man,
like,
that's
well, like for
that's
when
an
I move
incredible
into
story.
the house with James and Bree, I bought a wall print, and it's, you know that one Japanese painting where it's that huge wave.
Yes.
It's that, but there's a blue and a red Gyarados, and then a whole bunch of Magikarps,
Oh my god.
and that's going right in the living room. And then
boy.
I've made
In
a
the living
painting.
room?
And then I've made a painting that says, "It's not a crack house, it's a crack home."
Oh,
because
yeah.
James and I always have jokes about dropping out of college and just going and smoking crack.
There you go.
Just going and living in a crack den.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
My old roommate's girlfriend, now wife, he
Oh, fuck.
I know, yeah, sorry.
I know
Yeah.
all my friends
So
are getting married too. Hunter.
he,
I'm like, what the heck?
I know. So his wife now, but like she had friends in college, and every time they go to like their friend's house, like it was just called the crack house. So they're just like, yeah, we're going to the crack house. Like that was just a normal thing to say, and I was just like, oh, all right, see you later, have fun. You know?
So
Sayonara.
I have a really good Lubbock story. So one of my best friends, who is also getting married in August, and I'm going to be officiating their wedding because I'm an ordained minister.
Holy
Fun
shit.
fact. Anyway,
Okay.
Online.
Wait,
but, you
so
know.
Weird
Brendan,
flex.
you can officiate
Yeah,
any
I can
wedding?
officiate weddings. Yeah, anywhere I think, as long as your state isn't like online ordination is BS. I can ordain. Yeah, I could officiate.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah, it's gonna be pretty chill. Anyway, so my really good friend, she lived with her boyfriend in this house that was like, I don't know, it was like 2 miles off campus, right? So it's starting to get a little hairy out there, and so they lived in this house, and the neighborhood for the most part was just like either families or college students. So for the most part, it was fine. But there was this one house that was directly across from them, and they called him the Tweaker. And it was a drug. I mean, it was a drug den. It was straight up a drug den. And they called the cops on him
Jesus.
multiple times. And they didn't have power or electricity for like a year. Power and electricity. They didn't have power or water for like a year. And they like just blocked out all the doors and like all the doors and windows. And like people would come over and they would like smoke crack and like get super fucking high and like do crazy shit and like run out in the anyway. And so what happened is, one day they wake up and there's like all these cops outside, and it's because the cops came and busted the guy. They busted the tweaker that lived in the house, and they
Holy
busted
shit.
the tweaker, and it was like
Oh
a
my
full-on
God.
drug den. There was like needles everywhere and all this stuff. But apparently he was like one of the
amazing.
drug kingpins of Lubbock.
What
And
the
they
fuck?
busted him. He was living across from him. So anyway, they removed him.
Dude, your
from
friend
the
has a bullet, like
my
has a bullseye on
God.
his back.
Yeah, so they remove him.
Damn.
They remove him from the house, and they arrest him. Whatever, because they come over to the house. The cops come over to the house, and they were like talking to them about the tweaker or whatever, and then they were like, "Oh, what'd you guys do with him?" And they're like, "Oh, we put him in jail. Like he's gonna be in jail for a really long time because he has all these charges against him and all this stuff. So like." Here's the whatever the ID if you want to follow like what's going on with him or whatnot. And so anyway, he gets sentenced and goes to jail. And then for
He went
some
to jail,
reason,
not prison?
yeah, he goes to prison.
Oh, okay.
But eventually he goes to prison. But for some reason, the dude comes back like 3 weeks later, despite being the drug kingpin of Lubbock, and is like knocking on their, because like he would do tweaker things. Like he would like walk up to them and be like, "Hey, I'll cut your lawn for $20 or whatever," or just like weird stuff. I know. And so anyway, he like came back for some reason and was like going back through the house, and so they called the cops on him and like got him rearrested, and they haven't seen him since, but I think a company's finally going to come through and fix up that house. But it was like the epic saga of the tweaker, and like it was the most Lubbock thing ever, you know, like the saga of the tweaker where like it's like a drug den, he's the drug kingpin of Lubbock, and like he's just doing all this crazy stuff. I mean, it was insane. So, you know, she's gone out of that house now, not like it really matters, but it was
Lubbock is full of sketchy
insanity.
Shit, man.
It was
like
absolute
the
insanity.
further you get away from campus, the stranger it gets.
Yeah, dude,
like,
Lubbock.
I don't know, bro.
Like
I was really close to campus, and it was still very strange.
Oh yeah, like
I was not far, but like I also had like a person that was like on drugs all the time right across the street from me.
We actually,
it was just strange.
I've been,
drugs are
the number of times
and
I've been
like the
followed
nicest
from
family.
campus.
Oh my god, that totally reminds me. So this is another my same girl, my roommate's now wife. She had a thing for her sorority to where they do like this trade up. I guess sororities do this thing where they trade up, so they start with something small and then you have to trade it up, and whoever comes back at the end of the night with like the biggest thing, that's like what they get, right? Or like they can just like have or like they like win a prize or something, I don't know, you know, whatever. And well, the fucking, you know, she comes over and she's like, hey, like, you know, talk to my roommate and like, hey, can we have your trash can? Or no, we had a stump in our backyard, and we were like, and they were like, we have a trash can, can we have that stump because your stump's bigger? And we're like, I guess, like I
would have asked if I could have the stump back later.
So you got the trash can?
The whole thing was like, if like when you trade it, you can't get it back, right? So like,
okay.
So like they gave us a trash can and they took our stump, and so they're like, I mean, it's a good sized stump. Like they're like having to like, you know, move it around, and it's hard. It's taking like multiple sorority girls to like move this giant stump, and they as they're moving the stump to her car, our neighbors walk out, nicest people in the world, just super fucking nice. They go, what are y'all doing? And they're like, oh, we're doing a thing for our sorority, and we trade up, and yeah, and they were like, oh, I like that stump, I'll trade you for it. and so they just like, they're like, oh, what do you got? And they're like, well, we have like an old dresser that we don't use. And so they're like, okay, yeah, I'll just take that. So then amazing. Like we come home and we're not told this at all. Right, we're just like, well, they got the stump, we got a trash can,
neighbors
sure,
have
whatever.
The stump now.
I was like, yeah, whatever. And so we drive home and we pull up, and it's just our stump from our backyard, but in the neighbor's front yard. And I was pissed. I was like, I want that stump back. What you signed away our stump? Like I'm just talking to my roommate. I'm like, that's our stump, and now our neighbors have it. I want that stump.
You're far too attached to this stump.
It was a good looking
stump. It's a stump, Brendan.
It was a
I
good
want
looking
this stump now, Hunter. I want this stump for the office.
The stump was good, like looked good enough that as 4 sorority girls are taking it to a car, our neighbors walked out and said, "I'll take the stump instead." You know, like that's a good looking stump. That's top quality, top tier, like upper echelon of the stumps. You know,
you just can't
and
make
it was
that
just
shit up, man.
thing. But like, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it just reminded me of that. Like, I don't know.
So did you take it back?
There are
Hunter?
good neighbors here.
Did you steal the stump back?
I did take the stump back and put it in our yard,
yes!
and our neighbors.
Them.
Yes.
But that's because I got home and I didn't know about it. I was like, they stole our stump.
Did you give
it
it
back? I put
back?
it in our yard, and then they took it back. And then Aaron explained to me, and I was like, oh, I guess I won't move it. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, it was insane. Well, it was so funny.
I wonder
and I
what
still
the rules
I
are
love
for
that stump, but I bet it's still there. Maybe I'll take it. Maybe I'll take it when I leave.
When you leave, I will come with you. I'll help you take that
I'll feel
stump.
bad. I'll feel so bad. They like that stump enough to trade a dresser for it, but so maybe I won't take it. But.
I think I've had some crazy.
I'll bake them a really good cake.
I think I've had some crazy neighbors, dude. Like not people that live by me, but like living in the dorms, right? Because I don't really have neighbors in the dorms. But like I remember this room by me, dude. They I remember going in the room for room checks, and they had pizza boxes stacked to the ceiling. You know how high the ceiling is in the dorms?
Yeah. It's
higher. It's like
10,
11,
it's like
12
10
feet.
to
It's like
12?
And they had a wall of pizza boxes going down the center of the room from floor to
sick.
ceiling because
That's
they ordered pizza every night. And I was like, why?
I always
just
felt
crazy
like
neighbors, man.
I never
I
ordered
like
food
pizza,
in the
but
dorms.
not that much, man.
I think I ordered food in the dorms maybe
Oh,
once or twice, but I
only
felt
ever
so
did it during
awkward.
finals. And it was always Jimmy John's.
Domino's on University has made so much money for me because I get drunk and I'm like, oh, I can't drive, so I'll just order pizza.
Yeah,
Every
like
time.
I don't
time.
know, cause like I felt weird having to go down and like go grab it and explain to them, oh well, I'm in a dorm, and like it should be normal, right? Like I'm sure it's normal, but to me it just felt so weird being like, oh, I'm at this address and it's this dorm, and I guess I'll just
That's
meet
why
you
I ordered
outside.
Domino's,
like I don't
man.
know.
Because Domino's just had like a thing where they were like, it was like hotspot, so you just like click on the door to Stangle and like people knew exactly where it was, and I was like, man,
Oh
this is
really?
great.
Oh damn.
So I never really ordered from anywhere else.
That's handy. Because like always in like the delivery instructions for Jimmy John's, because those are the only people I ordered from. I would always tell them, yeah, just meet me in Horn Lobby, and they always got lost.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like you live in a college town.
I'd give them
No,
some of the most
I would-
specific instructions in the world that I've, like, my mom is directionally challenged, and I will give her, like, similar, like, not nearly as intense instructions, and she'll figure it out. This guy, I don't know, man. He got, like, he somehow managed on the other side of Lubbock. And he called me, he's like, I don't understand. I was like, that's outside of your delivery radius.
I think that it's the curse of Lubbock locals. I don't know what it is about Lubbock locals, but I honest to God, it's probably the water, actually. The water in Lubbock
water?
is when you turn.
I drink the water in Lubbock all the time.
It's in the water.
No, water in Lubbock is not water. It's like Lubbock offers free milk out of the sinks. Okay, because it has first of all, it's under the capstone.
It's really not that bad. It's really not that bad.
Okay, when your water comes out
drink
and
the
it's
water all the
white
time.
and you put it into a cup and it's still
It's
white.
not ever white.
Okay, well I don't know. You must have a filter or something because all I'm saying
We don't.
is
Oh, I use
everywhere
filters.
I've ever-
I can't stand the taste of
refuse
tap
to
water.
drink Lubbock tap water. It is. I'm pretty sure you're gonna get heavy metal poisoning. Like
I drink it all the
you're
time.
gonna.
What do you think my jug
Nice.
is filled with?
Is it seriously tap water?
Yeah,
So you're
absolutely.
gonna get
It's filled
heavy
with
metal
cancer.
poisoning and die.
I'll be
Okay,
fine.
so
I'll be
anyway, maybe
fine.
you're gonna turn into a Lubbock local. So here's the thing: Lubbock locals. I don't know what, dude. They're the craziest people. It must be the water or something. I'm telling you, it must be water, and it, like it decays their brain. Maybe I don't really know, but most
brain's
of them,
already
most of
decayed, it's
them are fine. Like most of the ones that you'll meet are totally cool, but the problem is the ones that you meet around campus, or the ones that are just like you meet at weird times at night, are always the crazy ones. So I can't even tell you how many times there was a Lubbock local story that went like, so not even at the bars. Bars were even crazier, but like people would be like, I was at a gas station and I like, well, they were like, me and my friends were at a gas station. I'll tell you why the story was in like third person in a second, because they were like, well, me and my friends were at a gas station. We were filling up and one of my friends went in and he like grabbed the last candy bar or like bumped into this guy, and then the guy was like, oh fuck you or whatever, and they were drunk, so they were like, yeah, and they did the same thing back, and the guy beats the snot out of them.
Holy
And
shit.
they have to go to the hospital, and the dude's like horribly injured, and that would happen all the time. I would say it easily happened I heard stories of it 6 or 7 times, so I'm sure it happened
That's
more than
amazing.
that. But it was just like, what the heck? And then
Yeah.
even worse is the bars, and you've all these weird Lubbock locals, or if they're not Lubbock locals, they're coming from like the surrounding area because of the oil fields, and they're like on Broadway, and they're either doing weird stuff or they have the exact same problem where they're just beating the ever-loving snot out of these stupid college kids.
I
They're
have
like-
never heard of any of this.
17, and they have a fake ID, and they're out there and they're like, yeah, I'm drunk. Oh, what are you, old man? Yeah, get fucking lost. And then they just literally beat them into a pulp, and they take them. They end up in the hospital the next morning. I'm serious.
I've
It
never
happens
heard of
so
this.
often.
There's
can't
no
believe you
way
never
that
heard of
happens that
this.
often. There's no way that happens that often. The only
I would say it's
The
happened.
the only thing I
at least
remember
7
is
or 8
like
times.
the riot. The only thing I remember is
Oh
the
my
riot on
God.
Broadway.
Oh my god! After we made it to that to the
when
finals.
we made it to the final
I
four, it wasn't even the
refused-
finals.
I
It was just the
refused to
Well,
go
no,
final.
no,
out.
no, it's Final Four.
People wanted to go out to Broadway with me, and I was like, I refused to
no.
go out to the bars on that night. And I'm so glad I didn't because
It
dude, there was like a whole.
I
there's
wish
so
I was
many.
there. I
People
wish I was
flipped
there.
a fucking car.
No,
Yeah,
there's a
how
story
cool would
behind
that have been to
car. Don't
see?
you remember? It was like the guy was
No.
encouraging. The
Someone
guy
was
committed
saying, like,
insurance
yeah.
fraud.
The guy was like,
He was
yeah,
encouraging them to
I
flip
do
it,
remember
and then
that.
he was
forgot
jumping in his own
about that.
car, and they got this all on video.
Yeah, and he was telling people like, yeah,
Yeah, flip it. Yeah,
And Lubbock
flip
and
it,
like
flip it.
and like LPD was like offering like bounties for anyone that could be identified in the videos of like the rioting and all that. It was the most ridiculous
Wow.
I
thing
would have
ever.
been there. It was
Way
so
to rain
sick.
on the parade.
It was
damn.
so
Okay, they
sick.
were
I
burning
wish I would have been there.
limes in the freaking streets. That's
Yeah,
a
and
literal-
how cool
they
would that have been to
literally
see
brought-
in
Scooters, not the fruit.
No. They literally brought riot police out to stop them. And
I
then, and
know.
then
So?
the next night when
I
they
would
were
wish
But the
I
thing
was
is, I
there.
was living on campus when
That'd be
this
sick.
happens. Like, I just watched shit go down around
that's
me.
that's the
I
thing.
didn't-
I was mad too because I live by Broadway now, right? So like I would have walked down there, but however, it was when I was at my old house and it was just too far, and I didn't want to drive down there. But it would have been sick to go. I would absolutely walk from my apartment to Broadway
when I
and
was
see all
when
that.
I was
I
an
wanted to
RA,
go.
It's insane.
right, I was an RA at the time, so they like told us we couldn't leave. They were like, you can't leave.
Really?
You have to be here. To
I wanted to go.
They were like, you have to
so
be here
badly.
and sober because they were like worried that we were gonna have like literal riots. And to be fair, if we would have won the finals, someone probably would have burned down
I
a
stayed.
dorm,
I
or someone
stayed.
would have broke sprinklers, which honestly is arguably worse than burning down a whole dorm.
Someone did break a sprinkler in my dorm. My year when I was there, it was awful.
Wait, where did you
Luckily,
live?
it was on the other
Where did you
side.
live?
I lived in Gates.
Oh, it wasn't that story. Apparently, someone in the towers, the Chitwood Weymouth Towers, which is like 12 stories, they went
Yeah.
from the top story to the bottom story and broke every single sprinkler in the
Yeah.
stairwell. And
I remember hearing that.
why.
But like the one that happened was
yes.
it was on my floor, which is a godsend to be honest, because it flooded like I was on the 4th floor, so it flooded, and it was on the other side of the building, which was very lucky. Or like the halls, like do an L or whatever, it was on the other side of the L hallway. And all he was doing was he had to get ready for like something, like a job interview or something like that, and so he. He hung it on.
Oh.
He hung it on the sprinkler, but that wasn't what did it. He then steamed it. He was steaming his shirt, like ironing his shirt or something, while it was hanging.
Oh, and it got so hot
and
it bust.
it got hot, and then it like set off the alarm.
So
or set
the
off
way
the
way
thing.
that those sprinklers work. So the way that the sprinklers, individual like little sprinklers work, is that red thing that you see in them. The reason
Yeah.
that you have to be so careful around them is because that red thing is a piece of glass that's filled with a chemical that once it gets to a certain temperature above like room temperature, right? So like once it gets to a certain temperature above whatever they think there's a fire, it explodes and it breaks, right? So the glass like explodes,
Yeah.
it breaks, and it just allows the water to flow. And so the reason that the reason that it's almost arguably worse than burning down the building is because what happens is there's these pumps that turn on when they detect that there's a drop in pressure in the system. There's these pumps that turn on and they don't turn off unless A, the fire department turns them off, or B, so there's actually a valve in the hallway that you could turn off. But the thing is, it's hard to get when that sprinkler. So what happens is these pumps turn on and they do not turn off till the fire department turns them off, or until they completely empty the reservoirs they're attached to, and the reservoirs they're attached to are huge. And it's so gross because all that water has probably been sitting in there in those pipes since the building was built like 50 years ago. So
I didn't
it's
even think about that. Ooh.
disgusting. It's like black sludge. And so that's why literally I would rather have the entire building burn down.
No, chill,
Because then I
chill,
don't have
bro,
to deal with
chill.
it.
Because my stuff wasn't ruined. My computer was in there, and like
Okay,
it
if your
wasn't
computer
ruined,
gets
but
soaked with black sludge, you're still gonna have to
but it was on
replace
the but it was on the other side. It was on the other side.
Well, you're
so
right.
it only set off that one. So like it fucking like water went all the way down
Yeah.
through like that entire floor side was like covered in water, but then all the 3 floors below it were just flooded. Like it just was coming out of the ceiling and like onto everyone's stuff in their dorm that lived underneath them. And I was just like, I'm so glad, one, I was on my floor, and two, I was on the other side of the building. But I had to we had to stay out of our dorm, and I wasn't allowed back in. Like, we had to stay out. We had to all sit in the lobby or go somewhere else. And I wasn't allowed back in, and I had a test the next morning at 9 a.m. And I was pissed because all my study stuff was in the...
Yeah, it's ridiculous. There's like a whole thing
in my room.
That's not very friendly about it. Yeah, but you know, the thing is, like, those buildings will never burn down anyway. Like, one of those ceiling tiles, like, people always walked around and punched out ceiling tiles. One of those ceiling tiles is like $80 because it's fire retardant. It's like you could pretty much throw that thing in a fire and it's not going to burn. If it does burn, it's just going to shrivel up and not catch on fire. It's honestly incredible. Like, everything in that dorm, everything is fire retardant. Like, the only stuff that's not fire retardant is the stuff that you bring into the dorm. It's pretty cool, but like, that's why I'm like... I mean, short of literal arson, those buildings are not going to burn down, you know, which is not out of the question. So
yeah, there's crazy people.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. The dorms are, despite everybody hating living in the dorms, they're honestly a pretty interesting like feat of engineering.
I thought it was a good experience to live in the dorms, at least for 1 year, just to say I had done it.
It's definitely good to live in the dorms for a year, to be like, yeah, I did it, and then because if you don't have these stories.
Exactly.
Like, we all went to the same university, but at different times.
I don't know if...
But I feel a lot closer to you guys now.
I don't know if the argument for living in the dorms, you get all these stories, because there's definitely some horror stories. Like, I remember this guy had a...
Yeah, those are the best stories, though.
This guy had a roommate, and... Well, yeah, because they're not happening to you. Like, it's funny for me to tell now, but I'm sure the guy was absolutely terrorized. This guy had a roommate who would drop, like, tons of acid. And I remember, it would always be a problem. And he was arrested, like, a couple times. And the time they got him kicked out of the dorms, which, by the way, at this university, I've seen people literally hurl metal BBs out of a window with a slingshot and hitting people in like the face and stuff and not get kicked out. I've seen people do far worse, but I'm not going to talk about it.
I should not be laughing.
And they've not been kicked out of the dorms. Okay, this guy was like dropping acid constantly, and he would like get really violent or whatever and do crazy stuff. So the thing that got him kicked out of the dorms was when they closed the food areas, they bring down a gate. Well, so what he did is he got super blasted, and there's this area in the dorm I was in that when you walk out of the door, and after the eatery's closed, you're stuck there if you don't have a scan to get back in. Okay, and the only way that you can get down is like jump like 15 feet. You can like slide through this like foot wide opening and jump like 15 feet down to the first floor. It's super weird. But the reason for that is...
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. So the reason for that is when the eatery's open, you can walk up there freely. So they have to have that door. But it causes so many... I can't even tell you how many drunk people have had to let in because they're like sitting there crying at the window because they can't get in. Anyway, so this guy gets stuck and he... And so he decides that he's going to bash that gate. And he nearly... I mean, he just went at it. And we didn't even see it for like 10 minutes. And so the only reason we found him is because after he bashed the gate in, and he did some sizable damage to it. I mean, they had to rip the whole thing out of the ceiling and put a new one in. But the reason that we found him is because he was about to dive headfirst out of that foot-long thing. And one of his friends saw him, ran through the door and grabbed his leg, like literally like movie style. Like the guy is over the edge and he has a hold of his leg and he like pulled him up. And so anyway, we got the cops involved and they arrested him and he got kicked out of the dorms. But yeah, like and you know, there's always like you always hear the stories about like the roommates that like just went out and drank every night and they just drank every night in the dorm and they would like throw up everywhere every single night and that was just every night. I mean, I don't think inherently that getting these stories is a good reason to live in the dorm because I'm sure some of these people, their lives were like terrorized by these idiots.
All right. Well then, but also if you consider like the convenience of being a first-time student, you don't understand campus, and it's just a lot easier to just roll out of bed when you've got like 10 minutes to get to class and just go.
It's so nice. I do miss that. But like my roommate came home drunk like. Maybe I think like one time he just came home and he was just like really,
coming
really
home drunk is one thing. Coming home drunk and
like,
vomiting all over everything.
He did. He didn't vomit over everything, but he felt really, really bad. And I was just like, "We've all been here, homie. I got you." Like I knew exactly what to do because I had been, I've been in like a similar situation, and so I was just like, "Here, I got you."
You were of age already.
I was like, "Here's my I was." I was like, "Here's my trash. Like here's a trash can.
Here's some Pedialyte."
So I was like, here's just all the things you need. if you feel like you're gonna vomit, just fucking do it. It's fine. Like I've got headphones in. I won't hear a thing. You're good. So.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, you're
like,
kind.
Well, I mean, like I don't know. Everyone's been there, so like, there's no reason to be just like pissed off at someone for being like, oh, you had too much to drink. Like shit happens, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't want him to be like, I just didn't want him to feel like really bad. I mean, he felt bad. He kept apologizing so much, and I was like, dude, it's literally fine. Like I don't care.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, like I was like, bro, I don't care. Like you're fine. You know.
Yeah, I've
just
gotten plenty of
do
that.
I mean,
whatever you're doing.
It's better
You're
than
good.
the alternative with with my sister and my mom. And like 2 of my roommates. They're the type that they just want to hug you and just be like, I love you so much. I would much rather take someone saying, I'm sorry a million times for vomiting over them just wanting to cling to me and say I love you so much as they're puking down my shirt.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm the friend who doesn't drink.
Oh, okay, that's fair.
I'm always the babysitter. Some of the people I've come across while they're drinking is, like there's this guy. He was an ex-Marine, and he would hang out with my friends because like he had served his 4 years, and he was technically a freshman, at our university, while I was a freshman.
Yeah.
And when that man drank, oh my god, I felt so bad for one of my friends because she's gay, and he was just hitting on her. And he just, like, repeatedly would tell her that, like, he was just madly in love with her. And I'm like, bro, you're literally, like, 24 years old. You're hitting on my 18-year-old friend. Stop.
Yeah, you've clearly never been to a bar in Lubbock.
That's
all it is.
I don't understand why people enjoy bars or the bar scene.
I think some bars are, honestly, the best part is that you just pay for your drinks and they just make them for you. It's the best part.
Well,
like there's certain bars that are good.
Just going out with friends.
Yeah,
like I would just
fun.
never go out by myself.
Like to go to
Chimmy's
or Beer House was cool, but like if you're going to no, I would never. I've been to Bashes. I remember when I was 18, or no, when I was 19, I went to Bashes, which is 18 and up. And yeah, I do not understand club. I don't even want to talk.
I never
weird.
found that fun.
But the pattern of like old guys hitting on young chicks is like not new.
It is weird.
Yeah.
I definitely just enjoyed. I enjoyed going to crickets with friends.
Well, she would like even explicitly tell him. I have
okay, you act like that matters.
Well, no.
You
Thing is,
like
like she had like
stop
explicitly told him, like, dude, look, I'm not into men, and that wouldn't stop him. Like once the cat was out of the bag, like even when he was sober, it made being in the library
so awful.
Really uncomfortable because we would all hang out in the basement of the library to do our homework. After that happened, we never went back.
Yeah,
You just can't do the library anymore. I kind of miss it. It's fun
crickets.
during finals because I'd open a Minecraft server and just watch the chaos unfold. Because everyone else is in survival and I'm in creative, and I'll just set their house on fire, and I'll just watch one table of frat guys being like, "Dude, why'd you set my house on fire?"
Truly,
like,
the most chaotic, neutral thing you can do is airdrop people things. That is
fun.
One of my favorite things to
done that.
do in lecture and like call in. So at some point, right? So it took me 3 years to finish all of my biology and chemistry prereqs, right? Because I have a I don't know, minor requires like a certain amount of hours. I have like 6 hours over that for both biology and chemistry. And so it took me 3 years to finish all my biology and chemistry classes. Well, sometimes the professor, I mean, I'm sure you guys have had this too, but the professor is just a bad teacher, and it's just not, like, he has mandatory attendance, and you just go to class and, like, don't listen at all. So what I would do is, I remember my biochemistry class was the most stressful experience ever, because he was the worst teacher I've ever had, period. And his instruction was useless. It was actually counterproductive, because he would just say things and then it wouldn't be on the test or whatever. So I just like gave up. I would just go for the mandatory attendance because, of course, it was location based, and I couldn't get the location spoofing on my VM'd Android to work. So I actually had to show up to class.
There's your problem right there. You're using Android.
Yeah, I had to show up to class. Well, you can't get an iOS ISO. So anyway, so I would show up to class, and what I do is I just sit in the back of the class, and my phone's named like 10.0.1.10 or something like that. And the reason it's named that is because back in high school, when I would put it on the Wi-Fi, we weren't allowed to be on the Wi-Fi. So I named it the same name as a router. so that nobody ever knew because they weren't tech savvy enough. So they would just see they'd see like Andy's iPhone, John's iPhone, and they would be pissed and they would go after them and get them in trouble. I never got in trouble because mine was the name of a router. So anyway, so my phone is named something inconspicuous, so I just like airdrop people just ridiculous memes, and it's so funny because it just to see people like get memes and then be like look around like who sent that meme,
I absolutely always leave my airdrop on just in case someone sends something, because I think it's always funny. I think it's funny every time, no matter what they send. I think good joke.
I love, like, my airdrop is on only for contacts only, but I changed that recently, and because the one thing I love doing is, like, I think it was in Cal 2 and I did it, I airdropped everyone a picture of Kermit on fire.
Jesus.
Because our professor had said something about the exam, and it was at, like, 8 a.m. or something. And I was like, an 8 a.m. Cal 2 exam, and I barely understand what's going on. Kermit on fire. That's how I felt.
Yeah,
I hated life.
The one where it's like the dog sitting in the house and he's on everything's on fire.
He's like,
this is fine.
Yeah,
that was my background for my my Echo Spot for a long time before I gave up on the Alexa dream.
Yeah,
that's right. You can't have my information anymore. Jeff Bezos, I refuse to have
You can't listen to my conversation.
Yeah, I refuse to have your little assisted spy in my room anymore. I actually considered opening it up and ripping the microphone out and then putting it back together to use it.
That would be so useless. You can't even say anything.
No, that's fine.
No,
it was a speaker. It's just essentially a speaker with a screen that shows me my schedule. I mean, you can control.
Oh, that's
control
right.
it
Is that? I'm thinking of Alexa.
But yeah,
not Alexa. The Amazon Echo thing.
Yeah, you can control it through the app. Oh yeah, I have the dot. I have the but with the screen, which is kind of nice.
Okay.
Well, I got rid of it. I don't have it anymore.
Yeah. Anytime I go and visit my sister, like she does, she has the Google Home. Anytime I'm at my sister's and she's like, "Okay, Google, turn on the lights in the living room," I freak out because
so incredible.
I'm like, "No."
My roommate had that. Like, my roommate had that set up for our house, and it was so, I loved it. I loved every moment. I felt like I was living in the future because I could just be like, "Hey Google, turn on Hulu," and then fucking Hulu pops up or whatever, or turn on the TV, and then I could just like do Hulu from my phone onto the TV, and it was incredible. Or like Netflix or anything, and or I'd be like, "All right, Google," or "Hey Google, turn it all off," and it just turns it all off, and it's like living in the future. I feel like I've regressed back to caveman times because I don't have it set up in my apartment because it'd just be like too hard, and it's just I don't know. So, I was in the future and I loved it. I loved every moment.
The best thing ever was I'm always on this website Slick Deals, which is like they have whatever. It's like a whole website of like cheapskates, essentially that. But they find really good deals online to get things. And one of the things online I found was I really wanted automated bulbs, like light bulbs, for a long time. But the problem is they're kind of expensive, and like you have to pick one ecosystem to go with. And eventually I was like, I would like to go with Philips Hue because Philips Hue is like the brightest and whatever. They're the best, but they're the most expensive. So anyway, I was on the website and they had a deal for like it was like a 3-pack plus the base or something like that for like it was like $90, which is normally like $150. So I just went ahead and bought it. And aside from the absolute network nightmare of the dorms trying to get that to work, which it never did.
Awful.
So I had to control it through Bluetooth. But it was awesome, like having that, and I really I didn't bring my bulbs here, but I had them in the dorms, like I used them when I was at home and stuff like that, and they were awesome. Like it was totally cool, and I would like control them with Alexa and like the my phone and stuff like that. But one of the reasons I want to learn Java is because I want to learn, I want to be able to do like the Arduino stuff and I really like automating things, and like I would love to do the voice assistant stuff, but like I don't like them having their own things. Like what I'd rather have is like just have a microphone and like you can actually send audio they have an API that you can send audio to and it'll feed back text, and then you can take that text and like figure out the commands. But anyway, so you can do that, and it's like more open source. But I really want to learn Java because I want to do it's like a smart mirror. You guys know what the smart mirror is?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I want to do like a smart mirror, but I don't want to do it in a mirror because I don't know what I need a mirror for. I don't have a mirror big enough anywhere ever to do that, So I'd probably just set up a monitor somewhere and like have it do that. So I just think that's super cool. It's one of the reasons why. And plus, like, and then when you learn Java, you can do like more complicated stuff with like Arduinos and things like that. And then your possibilities are endless. Like I really want to do something where like I have my bed behind me and I have a really big monitor. So I want to do something where I can control, like, power off my computer from my bed.
Oh,
or like
I
I can skip like 30 seconds in a video where I can navigate I'm sure there may be something out there already, but
yeah.
Oh. I just take my wireless mouse to me to bed. And so like my monitor will be sitting like on my desk across my room. This is back in my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll just have my wireless mouse and I'll just sit in my bed and
That's
just
what I would
click.
do. Yeah.
That's what I do. And then if I need to search something, like I have all of like my most used sites like bookmarked and shit.
Uh-huh.
So and then I have a Google Doc that's just the alphabet. So I can just highlight, copy,
That
paste.
sounds like that sounds awful.
oh my god,
It
that
sounds
is
like you're
the
like
most-
let me
It's
Google
so that way
something
I
real quick.
don't
10
have to
minutes
get out of
later,
They
bed.
have this
enter.
really cool thing that comes pre-installed with Windows in the accessibility settings, and it's
know.
called Virtual Keyboard.
Yes.
And you can
I
just
know.
click the letters rather. I don't even know how you do
copy
that.
and
I don't even know how you
pasting
do that.
over and over again sounds
That
so
sounds
awful.
horrible.
But I barely ever have to use it because
It's-
I don't watch anything but like Hulu and Prime in my bed.
Great, that's so few letters. Much less time copy and pasting when you're looking at it.
But even then, like they're in my like top like 4 on my bookmark.
on your Firefox, you use Firefox.
No,
Do you use Firefox or Chrome?
I use Firefox.
I use Firefox. You
I use Chrome,
You're
but I use DuckDuckGo.
Google sellout. Google
Oh
sellout.
my god.
You know they're making it so you can't. They made an announcement. They're saying they're phasing out all ad block on Google Chrome.
Are they really?
Yeah. like,
Dude,
yeet,
it was
I'm
like
going
it was
somewhere
like
else.
A year ago that they said that. Like
Oh,
they're
I
purposely
think it-
working to make ad block.
I think it
not
still
work.
works.
No, I'm sure it still does work, but eventually they're moving to remove it from the Google Chrome
because they want their
extensions.
money.
Yeah, I know. So why would you use Google? I don't understand why people use Google Chrome. Also, Google Chrome's like, wow, you have 32 gigabytes of RAM. That's 31 gigabytes for me. It's
yeah,
like,
that's my thing. Is that it takes like a percentage. I could be wrong, and other stuff could do it too. But it like takes a percentage of your RAM, and I'm like, I got a lot of RAM, and I don't. You
I
don't
can
need all
have
that.
9 Firefox
Mm-hmm.
tabs open, and it will use the same RAM as 2 Chrome tabs. I do not understand.
It's just making that switch is going to be such a
It's
big...
so
Yeah,
easy.
it-
No,
it
you
was.
can export your
It was for me.
settings from Chrome
I can?
into Firefox. Yeah,
Oh,
they have a
Oh, I
thing.
didn't know
Can
that.
can I have Firefox in dark mode?
Yes, there's tons of
Yes.
themes for it. Now, my Firefox is
Yes.
in dark mode.
Oh,
Firefox
that's
is
switching
like-
to Firefox.
they actually-
Firefox is like the most customizable one. I
It's
think.
yeah,
I think
it's
always
because
been.
it's open
Fuck yeah.
source. It's I
Yeah.
love
Oh.
Firefox. So I don't understand why anyone. I have Chrome on my computer just because sometimes you need 2 different browsers, and very rarely Firefox, when you have all the plugins installed, works weirdly with certain sites. So like sometimes it's good to have Chrome,
Mm.
but like I never even open it. I just Firefox all the way. It's
Yeah,
great.
I
love
also
Firefox.
use Firefox.
It's the best browser out there. Not sponsored, but you can sponsor me, Firefox.
You can- yeah,
I'll
you can
take.
sponsor us,
I
Firefox.
love your products, please. And they do other things too. Like they do like secure send, where you can send like up to a gigabyte of files. They have like a special. You can like put your emails into a thing, and it'll tell you if you've been a part of any data breaches. They do like they'll create passwords for you. You know, there's like tons of things to do that, but they'll create
That's really
passwords
nice.
for you, and they do another thing. They have an in-browser VPN, which is also nice. It's a It used to not be a subscription because it was a beta. Now it's a subscription, but honestly, it's not. It's like it's pretty cheap, and it probably be worth it.
Mm.
I've been thinking about a VPN for a while, but I don't know.
Yeah, shout out. Hey NordVPN, I know you sponsor a lot of people. Hit us up, all right?
Sponsor us, please.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the problem is
Unless-
it just slows your computer down. It's like slows the internet down so much, but I don't know. Maybe it's worth it. You can't really hide it anymore. So
Yeah, that's true.
Can't hide anything from anyone
VPN's
anymore.
not going to save you from a VPN
Is
in
it not? I have
Firefox
no
is
idea.
not going to save you from people.
Yeah, I have no
watching.
idea.
Although I do like Firefox better, but
If there's a will,
VPNs
there's a
are really
way.
cool because you can like watch shows on Netflix that aren't in America.
yeah. You,
So like,
No, they
I
changed
would-
that. They patched it.
did
You
they?
can't do
so
that
so
anymore.
there
Oh.
I guarantee you there are ways to get around it.
Because like my big thing now is
Probably
like,
are. I don't know how.
I haven't been able to watch like because we don't have like we do have television, but I don't I guess I could have watched it, huh? I just never think about that. We do have television here. I'm just not used to it because I watch everything off like Netflix and Hulu or the internet.
Same.
And I just want to watch. I really, really, really want to watch The Last Dance, like the Michael Jordan documentary about his time on the Bulls, and I think it's super fucking cool. But it doesn't come to Netflix until like June, I think, and it just ended. And you can watch it on like Watch ESPN or whatever. But I don't have a login for that because I don't have TV besides the one that like came with the apartment.
It's
so fucking tragic.
Too bad. Like I actually think Netflix. I don't know how much longer Netflix is gonna be around, man. Because like I'm on Netflix now, and apparently there's a lot of other like Netflix in other countries, like other English speaking countries. There's a lot of other things that we don't have.
Yeah,
I have friends in Australia and in like Ireland and Finland and Sweden, and they like tell me all about what's in their Netflix, and I'm like, what the fuck?
It's because
like,
we have weird.
Yeah,
Australia had Avatar: The Last Airbender for much longer before we even got it. Like it's just now.
We like just got it.
We have weird licensing laws, or another.
I think that is it.
Here's the weird thing about Netflix. So like we have weird licensing laws, which means a lot of things have been pulled from Netflix, but Netflix is buying a lot of things exclusively. So like for example, like Seven Deadly Sins is an anime. They bought that anime,
right?
And even crazier, there's actually an anime. So Neon Genesis Evangelion, right? Do you guys know what that is? It's like the like OG mech anime. And it's like everybody loves it, and it's got I don't even know. It's got like
it's honestly it's overrated in my opinion.
I think it's fine, but I just think people are like they like watch the last couple episodes of like the original one, and they're like, oh, like you know that meme where it's like the writer dude holding sand in his hand, and he's like analyzing the sand and whatever. Like that's what I imagine Neon Genesis Evangelion is like, and they're like, oh, you got to think deep about the last couple episodes, whatever, right? But Netflix,
all you gotta know is that the writer was losing his mind.
Yeah,
when
but
he wrote
Netflix bought that license exclusively.
Really?
Like they exclusively own Neon Genesis Evangelion, which is crazy because it's so old.
I wonder what they're gonna do with that then.
But
it's like Amazon buying the rights to Lord of the Rings.
But they've been buying a lot of animes exclusively. It's just very strange. I don't really know where Netflix is going, but with everyone making their own freaking exclusive streaming service, dude, I don't know how much longer Netflix can last because all their originals are like either this super squeaky clean content or like this incredibly over raunchy content that's like not fun to watch. So like I don't know where they're gonna fall in the next couple of years, but I doubt they're growing.
I don't know. I feel like there's some good things in there. Like I think Money Heist is really really good, and it's not really raunchy. It's not really raunchy, but it's also not like squeaky clean.
But it's gotten more expensive.
But it is all their really really good shows, I feel like, are just not in English.
Oh, I agree. Like the 3% or
the 3%, Money Heist. Awesome. There's some ones I've seen that are like there's like
the
really
platform,
cool French.
Dude, the platform.
I haven't seen that one, but there's one about like there's one that's like The Journey or something like that. I don't know. It like seems pretty recent, and I need to watch it still. I watched like the first episode or so, but I need to like go back and watch it. But it was just really it's some French show, and it's really good, and they just have really really cool shows that just aren't in English, and then all the dubbing is just not very good.
No, it's bad. It's bad. It's very bad.
Which sucks. And it's I can deal with like meh dubbing, right? I think it's fine. My biggest issue is that the subtitles don't match because I watch with subtitles on all the time, and the subtitles
I don't like watching things with subtitles on Netflix because they'll just stop working.
Yeah, that's
mine
much.
And I have to go back like 30 seconds.
Oh, mine
have
like always worked, but like the issue is that like the subtitles they have for some of these shows that aren't originals English, it's not what the people are saying in the dub. And I've like looked around. It's like, well, this is what the UK one says. This is what the English or like the American English one says, and it's like, well, it doesn't. That doesn't matter to me because like both of them are wrong. Well, and it just kind of makes me mad because I don't know why. Maybe it's irrational, confusing. But it should just go off the script. I feel like, or off of what the dub says.
Yeah, and it's just annoying because like Netflix USA, I don't know what they're doing, man. And the thing is, Netflix is getting more expensive. It's not like Netflix is getting cheaper. Like, what is attracting new customers? Like, you have like 2 Netflix originals, and like you can watch some old stuff. But like, I've basically run out of stuff to watch on Netflix. Like, I don't even watch anything. I just watch YouTube and Hulu because I don't know what. And my mom's paying for it still, and it's like $18 a month because we have because based on how many accounts you have. So we have like 4
Yeah.
accounts, and it's like $18. It's insane. It's stupidly expensive for what they're offering.
Yeah.
And all their Netflix originals suck. Okay, they suck. I don't want to
I don't
watch
know.
13 Reasons
I think
Why.
Peaky Blinders is pretty good.
I don't want to watch 13 Reasons Why. I don't want to watch freaking what is it? The other one? Oh,
trash
Sex
TV,
Education.
so
I don't want
I
to
like
watch
trash
that.
TV. So I like 13 Reasons Why.
13 Reasons Why was
Oh,
a
God,
bad
no.
show.
I
It was
do.
a
I
if
like-
you read
show.
the book,
I didn't read the book. I didn't read the book.
the first season was somewhat close to the book, but then like the rest of it's just fucking throw the book out the window, set it on fire.
I remember
just-
watching the first season, and just because everybody was
Ugh.
talking about it, I'm like, I'm going to finish it. And the last 5 episodes were just such a struggle. And then the second season came out, I was like, I'm not even wasting my time. I'm not even going to waste
Yeah,
my
I
waste
didn't.
my
I
life
didn't
watching
mind it.
That's
I
how
thought
I
it was
was-
I don't
fine.
want to watch 13 Reasons Why. I don't want to watch Sex Education. I don't want to watch Big Mouth, dude. Like like none of those are funny. I don't.
Have you
when
watched
people think Big
Designated
Mouth is-
Survivor?
Huh?
Have you watched
Big Mouth is
Designated
okay.
Survivor?
I can't watch it because it's too close to real politics. I can't. I don't. It's too much. It's just I hate.
I really
House
like
of
it. I thought it
Cards.
was really good.
House of Cards was good, but same
I
thing.
thought
It's just too close to real
Designated Survivor's
politics, and I
really
was
good.
like, I
Yeah.
can't watch it.
It hits too close to home. But I really do enjoy Peaky
Also, Dead
Blinders.
to
But
Me.
then again, I'm a
Dead to
I'm
Me's
a
a good
bitch
show.
for mobster gang.
Yeah, I
type
don't even.
shows.
Oh,
in
are you?
movies.
Yeah.
That's so. It's that's not very interesting to me. But I just feel like they're
Love that shit.
like how many
Organized
Netflix
crime.
originals can you like pump out to artificially inflate the amount of stuff that you have on Netflix? Because I feel like they're starting to
Yeah.
run out. Because it's like
Yeah.
every I bet you if you looked back, I bet you every month you are losing more major titles than you were adding. Especially once their Marvel contract ran out.
Like their Marvel thing is
Oh
out.
yeah.
Is it
It
out
is out.
yet? Is it? It
Yeah.
should be out. Yeah. Once
Yeah,
their
it is.
Marvel contract ran out, I mean that was like, that
Yeah,
was like
that's
3/4
it.
the
Just-
reason you
just-
subscribed to.
Just go to Disney
Um,
Plus.
So yeah, I
Oh,
don't really
no.
know what they're gonna do.
Never mind.
with-
It looks like Infinity War is still on there.
okay, well maybe they
but-
contract
and so it's like
individually
Ant-Man
per
and the-
movie, but
Yeah.
That would make sense.
I don't know, but
But it's like
they're just running out of content, and like MSNBC made their own streaming service. I don't know who's gonna pay for that, but they did. MSNBC, Disney Plus is absolutely murdering Netflix.
Disney Plus is.
You know,
sick.
and-
Oh,
I
yeah.
love
What else?
Disney
What else
Plus.
is there? Because I mean, really, Disney Plus is the only one that matters.
Yeah.
But they pulled so much
the
content.
ABC
'Cause
one is good.
Disney has its freaking tendrils and everything. So
Yeah.
well, they literally own everyone and their mother.
I know, I know.
Just saying.
So I don't really know
and
where.
people willingly pay into that freaking conglomerate, and it's just like, all
yeah,
right.
I don't really know
Sell your
where
soul.
where
Bye.
that's gonna go, but I don't think Netflix is gonna be around.
I don't
for
think
much.
Netflix is
because they
gonna
were
live much
reporting
longer.
I
losses
think
for
they'll
a
be
really
fine.
long time anyway.
Yeah.
Do you realize that like if they, this may
Maybe not.
this
I
may
could
be
be
like a
wrong.
long time ago this happened, but they're like spending back so much of their profits because they're having to make all these Netflix originals.
Yeah, that is true.
And so
Yeah.
I just don't see
Just to try and maybe rope in new people, but it's like
and of course
people use each other's Netflix like all the
yeah,
time.
and all their Netflix originals are so terrible. Like all their American ones are so terrible. They're like Sex Education. I know some people like that show. I've refused to watch it because every freaking time I look on Netflix, it's like, hey Brendan, watch Sex Education, and there's no button to be like, I don't want to be shown this anymore. But it's like, hey,
there
it's
is.
a
I'm pretty
Netflix
sure there
original you
is.
haven't watched. We know you really want to watch Sex Education. I'm like, no. But like I like Death, Love, and Robots and like stuff like certain ones they've done.
Yeah,
and
I love
like
Death,
Black
Robots
Mirror
is a
is
good
great,
one.
but like, oh, it
I
frustrates me
can't do
so
Black
much,
Mirror.
man. If
I
I get
love
pushed
Black
Big
Mirror.
Mouth and Sex
Fucks my brain too
Education
much.
anymore just because it's a Netflix original, I'm gonna go crazy. It's because I watch a lot of their Netflix original shows. I just don't like that one. I don't want to watch it. Oh my god.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Moral of the story, I don't
That-
know how much longer it's gonna be around.
it's all right. That's all the time we have. Thanks for ending that with the rant.
There
No
it is.
problem.
The rant.
I loved it.
Glad I
Brendan
could
the
be here
ranter.
to crap on Netflix and their business.
I can't wait for your belligerent Brendan segment.
Oh yeah.
Eventually.
I know.
We
We
did.
need
We
that.
didn't even.
Well-
we didn't even talk about time skipping in Animal Crossing.
We'll
It's
get to it
okay.
another time.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later. I don't need you shitting on Animal Crossing.